like you. Be strong to hold the powers of the sun. To dream, believe in strength. Now I'm the only one.
Hello everyone, welcome back to Diorpop. Purple Heart. Sometimes the most powerful moments aren't the loud ones. They don't arrive with dramatic words or grand gestures. They come quietly, hidden in pauses, in glances, in the spaces between movements. Today, we're not talking about a performance you can replay or a song you can hear on loop. We're talking about what happened behind the scenes, during the silent hours of BTS's comeback preparations. A moment when everything looked perfectly fine on the surface, yet one quiet change was enough to make Jungkook worry. Because when Jimin started walking more silently than usual, it wasn't distance that appeared, it was something deeper. So take a breath, stay with the feeling, and let's talk about the silent steps that shaped this comeback, and the quiet bond that made sure no one had to walk alone. And maybe that's the part we don't talk about enough. Behind the lights, the stages, and the applause, there are quiet moments that never make it on camera. Moments where strength looks like silence, and love looks like simply staying. Jimin didn't stop walking. Jungkook didn't try to pull him back. They just learned how to walk side by side. Slowly, honestly, and without fear. And when this comeback finally reaches the world, what we'll see isn't just perfection. We'll see trust. We'll see growth. We'll see the result of choosing not to face everything alone. So if this story stayed with you, if it made you pause even for a moment, then it has already done its job. Thank you for being here with Diorpop. Until next time, stay gentle with your heart, and never underestimate the power of quiet support. Behind the intense preparations for BTS's highly anticipated comeback, there was a quiet shift that almost no one noticed, yet it was precisely this silence that stirred Jungkook's deepest concern. Flushed face, Purple Heart. There was no chaos, no visible conflict. On the surface, everything appeared perfectly normal. Training schedules ran smoothly, creative discussions remained intense, and BTS's professionalism never wavered. But for Jungkook, something felt different. Jimin, known for his warm smile and gentle energy, had begun to move in a quieter way. His steps were still calm, still measured, but within that calmness, an emotional distance slowly formed. Not a harsh distance. Not a dramatic withdrawal. It was the kind of silence so neat, so controlled, that it became impossible to ignore. Jimin started arriving earlier and staying later than everyone else. He spent extra hours in the studio, sometimes alone, sometimes accompanied only by music looping endlessly in the background. When the others laughed during breaks, Jimin smiled along, but his eyes were never fully there. It felt as if his thoughts lived in a space no one else could enter. This silent walk was not a sudden choice. It was the result of months of quiet reflection. This comeback was not simply BTS returning to the global stage, it marked a new chapter after a long journey filled with pressure, expectation, and personal growth. Jimin felt the weight of it more deeply than he ever showed. He carried an overwhelming desire to give his best, not only for ARMY, but for the members who had walked beside him all these years. And within that weight, silence became his way of surviving. Jungkook realized the change didn't come from one major moment, but from an accumulation of small details. Shorter replies to messages. The way Jimin lowered his head a little longer while listening to instructions. The quiet sighs he released when he thought no one was watching. To others, it looked like professional focus. To Jungkook, it was a signal. He knew Jimin had a habit of carrying everything alone. And this silent step felt like a return to an old pattern, one that had hurt them both before. Still, Jungkook didn't confront him immediately. He chose to observe, to wait, to find a way closer without making Jimin feel pressured. One long night after practice, when the room was nearly empty and the lights had dimmed, Jungkook finally sat beside him. There was no dramatic opening, no heavy words. He simply asked softly, "Are you okay?" That simple question made Jimin pause longer than usual. And in that moment, Jungkook knew something remained unresolved. Jimin didn't answer with a long explanation. He only said that he wanted this comeback to leave no regrets. That he wanted BTS to return honestly. That he was afraid if he relaxed even for a moment, everything might fall apart. Jungkook listened, feeling the anxiety hidden beneath those calm words. He understood then. Jimin's quiet steps were not an attempt to pull away, but an effort to strengthen himself before moving forward. And yet, that realization only deepened Jungkook's worry. He knew Jimin often forgot that strength didn't have to be carried alone. In trying to protect everyone else, Jimin frequently neglected himself. It was beautiful and dangerous. The days that followed were filled with fragile balance. Jimin continued moving at his own pace, while Jungkook subtly adjusted his steps to stay in sync. He didn't force Jimin to stop. He didn't pull him back. He simply chose to walk beside him, making sure that even in solitude, Jimin was never truly alone. During choreography practice, Jungkook paid close attention to Jimin's timing. In music discussions, he created space for Jimin's ideas without interruption. None of it was announced. None of it demanded anything. It was presence, quiet and constant. Jungkook's concern peaked the night he found Jimin sitting alone in the studio, staring at practice recordings over and over again. The tension in Jimin's shoulders was visible, exhaustion no longer easy to hide. That was when Jungkook finally spoke honestly. His voice nearly trembled as he confessed his worry that Jimin was being far too hard on himself. Jimin fell silent. Then he admitted the truth. He was afraid. Afraid of failing. Afraid of disappointing everyone. That confession changed everything. Jimin's silent steps finally found a place to pause, not to give up, but to breathe. Jungkook didn't offer instant solutions. He simply said that no matter what happened, Jimin didn't have to face it alone. The words were simple, but to Jimin, they felt like the handhold he had been searching for, yet had been afraid to reach for. Slowly, the atmosphere behind the scenes began to shift. Jimin started sharing a little more, not everything but enough to keep himself from drowning alone. Jungkook learned that supporting someone didn't always mean pushing forward. Sometimes, it meant waiting patiently. ARMY may only see the final result, the grand stage, the new songs, the flawless performances. But behind it all was a quiet process that shaped everything. A Jimin learning that he didn't always have to walk alone. And a Jungkook choosing to stay by his side, even when the path felt silent. Perhaps it is from those soundless steps that this BTS comeback finds its most honest strength.